Hi everyone! Today I have another reading video for you. In our last video we learned more about fairy tales and we focused on the characters in fairy tales. We learned that characters can be good in fairy tales or they can be evil. So when we read Cinderella, we figured out that Cinderella was good, Prince Charming was good, and the fairy godmother was good. But we had some evil characters too. Stepmother was evil and Cinderella's stepsisters were evil too. Today we're going to look at Cinderella again and we're going to focus on another part of fairy tales. So let me show you. So here's our little chart again. Fairy tales have good characters and evil characters. We already learned about that. Fairy tales also have magic. Fairy tales have a setting. Remember, a setting is where the story takes place. So it could be a house, it could be a park, it can be a beach, wherever. And fairy tales also have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Today, we're going to focus on magic. We're going to think about Cinderella, and we're going to figure out if there's any magic in that story. So, let's look through Cinderella again, and let's try to figure out if there was any magic. We're not going to read it again, we're just going to kind of review it really quick. So in the beginning, we learned that Cinderella has a stepmother and evil stepsisters. So what happened next? We learned that Cinderella has to do all of the chores in her house. And there she is doing the chores. And they learn that the prince is having a ball. And Cinderella learns that she's not allowed to go. But she talks to her fairy godmother. And her fairy godmother changes her dirty clothes into a beautiful gown. And the fairy godmother turned a little pumpkin into a huge carriage for her to ride. So she had a nice ride to the ball, and she had a beautiful dress to wear. And then at the ball, Cinderella didn't leave on time. Remember, let's go back. Remember, fairy godmother right here, told her that she had to leave at midnight. Let's see. Her fairy godmother gave her one warning. When the clock struck midnight, the spell would be broken and all of her nice things would disappear. But when Cinderella was at the ball, she left a little late. So her clothes were going to start to turn back to her old clothes again. She didn't want that to happen. And as she was leaving, you can see right here, she lost her glass slipper. And then the prince found it and wanted to figure out who it belonged to. So he looked around, he asked all of the women in his little town or his little country, and in the end he found out that it belonged to Cinderella. It fit her foot. And that meant that they were going to live happily ever after. And there they are. They're happily ever after. And that was it. So, but let's go back to one part. There was magic in there somewhere. Let's see, there wasn't magic in the beginning because that was just telling us that the stepmother was evil and made Cinderella do all the chores. And we learned the same thing there. Not much happened. There was no magic. But let's look at fairy godmother. Let me zoom in on fairy godmother really quick. Let's look at fairy godmother. What is that thing in her hand right here? What is she holding? She's holding a wand. Usually when a character has a wand, that means they can do some kind of magic. And let's think about it. Did fairy godmother do something magic? I think she did, right? What did she do to Cinderella? She turned Cinderella's clothing like that into that. Just with her wand. She used her wand and made a spell and made them change into a beautiful dress. And remember over here, she turned a little tiny pumpkin. They don't show it, but she had a pumpkin. And she turned it into a big fancy carriage for Cinderella to ride in. So that means the magic in this story was from fairy godmother. And she looks pretty magical too, right? She has like a hat on like that. She has a nice dress. She has her wand. She has magic. So she magically made Cinderella's dress, her old dress, turn into this new dress. And she magically turned a pumpkin into a carriage for Cinderella to ride in. So that was the magic in Cinderella. Later in the week, we're going to be writing our own fairy tale. So to practice for that, or to get ready for that, I want you to think about what magic you could make, or what magic you could write about in your fairy tale. So at home this week, I'm going to ask you to draw some magic that can happen in your fairy tale. But let me tell you about my fairy tale first. In my fairy tale, there's going to be a princess, and she has a friend who is a unicorn. And the unicorn is going to be magical. The unicorn is going to help her achieve all of her dreams. The princess wants to be a queen, but she can't yet. So the unicorn is going to magically turn her into a queen. That's my fairy tale. So I'm going to show you how to draw my unicorn, because at home I want you to draw the magic that's going to be in your story. So let me show you how I'm going to draw my unicorn. So let's see. Remember, I'm not very good at drawing, but I'm going to try my best. So I'm going to start with my unicorn's head. Right there. And he's going to have little ears. And I have to draw his big horn, right? Or her horn, I should say. There's her horn. I'm going to draw these little lines in it, too, to make it look like a horn. Okay, now I'm going to draw the body. Let's see how this goes. Draw that. That's going to be the legs, the belly, 2 more legs, the body. Okay. I'm going to draw the tail. Actually, let me change that. I'm gonna make the tail look a little bit different. There you go. Let me do the eyes. Nose is gonna be like that. He's gonna have a little smile on her face too. Finish the legs. Okay, I'm gonna add some stars too. She's a unicorn, so she can look however she wants. So I'm going to add little stars on her body. So there's my unicorn. So I'm going to color her in too. With unicorns, they can kind of be whatever color you want them to be. So I'm going to make my unicorn have a pretty blue tail. Just like this. Okay, perfect. She's gonna have a pink body. And pink legs too. I gotta color in her legs too. I think her face is gonna be pink too. What color should her horn be? What do you think? What's gonna be a good unicorn color for that? Maybe I'm gonna pick a nice green color. That looks good. What do you think? Does she look like a unicorn? I hope so. But let me finish the eyes really quick. She's gonna have black eyes. Just like this. Perfect. Okay. There is my unicorn. Just like that. Blue tail, pink body, and a green horn. So this week when you're at home, I want you to think about the magic that you could put in your fairy tale too. Remember in Cinderella, the magic was when Fairy Godmother turned Cinderella's dress into a nice, beautiful gown for her to wear to the ball, and she turned a pumpkin into a big carriage. And in my fairy tale, my magic is coming from a unicorn. You can think of whatever you want for your magic. Your magic could come from an animal, it could come from another person, it could come from a creature, whatever you want. Think of whatever you want. Use your creativity and imagination. When you do this and you draw a picture and you color it in like mine is, I want you to send a picture of it to Mrs. Clark on Class Dojo, because we both want to see where you're going to write about in your fairy tale. Have fun doing this. Bye!